Hello and welcome to Clyde Plays. My name is Clyde and this is a World of Warships video. Today we're talking about Ranked. It is May 19th, 2021, the first day of our new Ranked season, and everybody is Bronze. We've got a lot of ships to choose from. For Bronze, we're doing tiers 6 and 7 this season, and that means aircraft carriers, that means destroyers, it means cruisers, it means battleships. Which ones are the best ones to take? Well, I took and got a hold of my friend Skada, who plays with me often on stream, and you've definitely seen him on our YouTube videos as well, and said, hey, let's do our normal conversation about ships, but this time let's make it a presentation that we can share with our audience. Of course, Scott has been pushing for this kind of thing for a long time, so if I present it there as my idea, he might not appreciate that. But at the end of the day, he and I were going to have this conversation anyway. We're going to talk destroyers, we're going to talk cruisers, we're going to talk all the ships and say, man, this is what I would take. And so we thought we would put this together in a presentation format and share it with you guys. The next video is pretty long, and so I've added some bookmarks in there to slice it up so that you can jump to the sections you care about. If you don't care about destroyers, you're a battleship main, click on the battleship section. If you only care about destroyers, just watch that part. Obviously, I would appreciate it if you watch the whole thing, and if you wouldn't mind giving this video a like, if you found it was useful, if you found it was educational, if you found that maybe you didn't care about what we said, but it got your brain thinking about the ships that you actually want to take, that's great too. We just hope that it's engaging and useful content. If you liked what you saw today, again, hit like, subscribe, maybe throw a comment down below so we know we're doing a good job. It helps us with the algorithm, and on top of that, it helps us know what kind of content we should make for you guys in the future. Without further ado, I want to get into it, so I am just going to splice right in. This was originally recorded on a live stream, so there's going to be comments that are rolling on the side, and we're going to be responding to people in chat. You can check us out at Twitch at twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive and spend time with us there as well. Okay, I'm done talking. Let's get to talking about all the ships that you're going to see in Ranked this season. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, this is something we've talked about doing on this channel for a long time. It's something Skada and I have talked about, going to lunch from work and stuff like that. And so we're finally doing it. You've got a real tiny Clyde on your screen there. He's only about this big. But what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the upcoming Ranked season. We're just going to talk about Bronze this week, and we may, if this goes well, if this is interesting to people, we may talk a little bit about Silver League and maybe even Gold, although we might skip Gold and just talk about clan battles, because a lot of times the boats that you're going to use there are going to be the same for either one. So I've got Skada on the horn here. You're going to hear the voice of Skada today. So Scott, welcome to the show. I'm very glad to have you on to talk ships like we often do. How's it going?
Thanks, man. That's pretty good to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Howdy, ho. Well, today we've got a few things here. What we've done for the people at home is we've taken cruisers, destroyers, battleships, and we're going to talk a little bit about carriers as well, although again Skada and I both don't believe that we are the experts on aircraft carriers, but we've tried to talk, we've each come up with 3 ships that we think are good picks for those classes at tier 6 and 7 to be used in Bronze League for Ranked. What we're going to do is kind of go through each of our picks. I'm going to throw it to Skada to share his 3rd pick with us, his number 3 pick, his number 2 pick, his number 1 pick, and we'll bounce back to my number 3, number 2, number 1 as we're going through. We've got a little slideshow here because why wouldn't you turn it into a slideshow? So I think without further ado, we'll get started on that. Scott, anything to say before we get going?
No, it's fun. I'm excited about Bronze Ranked starting up and being tiers 6 and 7. I think that's interesting, the way we've been doing ranked sprints the last 2 rounds. For me, Ranked has become the primary way that I play if I'm playing alone. And so, yeah, I think it's cool that they're doing 6s and 7s, and then it'll roll into 8s, 9s, and then 10s. I like the variety.
Yeah, it's a nice mix up. It's a good way to get steel, right? It's a good way to play solo. Randoms.
Yep, that's why I've been doing it solo play, man, because it earns steel, and I still get my daily containers, and most of the missions, as you well know, I love farming missions, and most of the missions also farm over in Ranked. So you get better XP in Ranked. There's no downside. Yeah, you get to the points once you get past that first couple weeks of the tryhards. I've been staying in Bronze League in the current round and just farming it over and over again, and leveling. Currently, I've been leveling 8s and 9s that way, and they level faster because the XP is better. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I've heard that from other streamers and stuff too, who have just said, I like Bronze League. It's fun, you know? And I don't feel like, because ranked tends to be pretty competitive, I don't feel like that's the same as like going down and being a SEAL clubber at tier 3, you know, but I think it's a good place to earn resources and to have good competitive matches. So, all right.
Yep.
Cool, man. I think what we'll do is I want to go to your number 3 pick. I think we're starting with destroyers. So Skada says his third pick is the Skana, the Pan-Euro line. Tell us about why. What do you think?
I really like the Pan-Euro line. The Skana itself is a great boat at tier 7. It has really strong concealment. It's like 661, I think, with a perk captain. I'm trying to remember what I put on the slides because I don't have the slides in front of me. 6.2.
6.2.
Yeah,
6.2.
Yeah, and it's got serviceable guns that have a really quick rate of fire. They're not big caliber, but they work fine for defending it against destroyers, and you can farm fires with it a little bit. But it's got screaming fast torpedoes. I love the screaming fast torpedoes on the Euros. They don't hit super hard.
Are they actually 80 knots at the Skana?
Yeah,
I didn't think they were that fast there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, with up, and I don't, and that's looking when I was looking at this, that was with a relatively unskilled captain. That's without like the torpedo buffs because my Skana.
Okay. You've got
my
like
Skana doesn't have a good captain. Like my Skana captain lives on the Holland now, right? So I've got like Stig Unroot on the Skana right now, who's like a 3-pointer or something. He's just holding down the captain's chair, but she's not super fast. The Pan-Euros aren't really fast. If you put a good captain on there, I think on my Holland I run radio location, but you could run Swift and Silence too if you want to cruise around and do stuff and be a little bit quicker. But it's those screaming fast torps. I think they're going to be great. When you think about when you're playing like tier, so seldom when you get to play the 7s or the 6s for that matter, do you get to play like tier. As we just showed in 2 tier 7 matches, we fought up tier, right? We fought 9s in the first one. We fought 8s in that second one, right? So if you just look at like tier, and you might fight some 6s, although my list of top ships is bereft of 6s. You get a lot of like tier. Skana's pretty strong like tier. It doesn't have smoke. That's a bummer, but I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I like the Skana as well. It didn't make my list, which we'll get to here in a bit, but I do like this Skana. I felt like it was really balanced, and I think your comment about like tier is right on the money. I think if you're in the Skana and you're playing against 7s and 6s, it's going to be really capable. The problem the Skana has is tier 9 matchups in randoms, right? So those fast torpedoes, the 10.1 gun range, I always find a little limiting on the Skana, but what you said is exactly right as well, so I'm just going to agree with you again, which is it's got low enough detect that when you get spotted, it's another DD probably, and 10.1 is plenty enough to shoot 6.2, 6.1 kilometers away, right? So you're going to be able to do the gun damage to the targets that are most likely to be up against you. If you find yourself fighting a cruiser, you're going to be in a tough spot without smoke and with kind of weak guns there, but that's common for a lot of destroyers. So I don't think that's a unique Skana problem.
Yeah, and one nice thing about those screeching torpedoes that it has too, if you get spotted out by a DD, like if you're pressing a cap early, I like to do. Yes. And so if you're pressing a cap early and you do get spotted out by like, I don't know, let's say a Mahan, you're going to spot a Mahan a mile away, but he'd be able to gun you down pretty successfully. But when you chuck 80-knot torpedoes at another destroyer, if you fan them at them right, they're going to spend all their time cranking the wheel trying not to get corped.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, and I agree with GMAC. Turret traverse is tragic on some of these boats. That's true. But still, I think this boat is good. And again, it's my third pick.
Yeah, that's true. This is number 3. Your number 1 is yet to come. So let's go find out. Let's take a look at my number 3. This one's unconventional, and I think you're going to laugh. But of course, I had to put a Ruski boat in here, right? So my third pick is the Leningrad. The part of the reason is I put a little subtitle under it there on the left. This is for the lulz, because people in ranked and stuff like that, they don't expect a loud, brash, dumb gunboat in speaking of tragic traverse too, by the way, in Ranas, they've planned for those kinds of destroyers because those are cappers, and that's what people want in a ranked game. Well, the Leningrad comes out and says, "Hey, f you, pal! I'm going to shoot you in the face," and people don't know what to do about that. To be fair, if you've got skilled cruiser captains on the other side, you can find the Leningrad to be a weak ship, and so you're going to want to make sure you take advantage of its high speed. It's 45.1 knots without hitting speed boost, jumps up to 49 with speed boost. You throw a speed flag on there, you're up over 50. Actually, I probably have a speed flag on here, so it's probably still under 50, but it's around 50 knots, which, when this boat was introduced, was a very, very fast speed, although we've got a lot of quick boats in the game today. Decent artillery, five single barrel 130s, so you can slap destroyers really hard with this thing. The other thing is, and some of these numbers I wanted to put a little caveat in here. These are with my captain. These are with some perks on here, so you might not see these exact numbers on your boat, but these numbers are possible. Okay, so if you see a different number on your ship, hit me up on Twitter or something. I can share with you my configuration if you're interested in how I got to these figures. But I believe they're all accurate and everything. But like a 13.9 kilometer range with a 4.8-second reload. The reload's not super fast, but that range is really great. And if you're ripping around at 50 knots and peppering battleships, you're causing a lot of strife for the enemy team, and they can find themselves looking for you rather than dealing with the problems that they should be dealing with: caps, other low detect crew destroyers, things like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Leningrad as a number 3 pick for ranked this season?
I mean, it's a pick you would make because you have a natural affection for Russian ships in this game.
I do.
What I will say about Leningrad, I will say one good thing about Leningrad is that it's way better than Minsk. I don't like Minsk, and Leningrad at least fixes some of the things I don't like about Minsk. The turret traverse sucks. I've had the Leningrad a long time. I don't remember when I got it, but I got it a long time ago. It's not bad. I like how fast it is. If you're playing like tier, that speed is really rad. It screams at like tier. It sucks getting, when you're bottom tier in it, which is how you end up playing it in randoms all the time. But if you're fighting 6s and 7s with it, that speed is going to kill. Its guns are totally usable once you have them all aimed the direction you need them to be aimed. Yes. But the reality of the turret traverse on that thing is that you aim the guns by turning the ship.
Yes, you do.
The torps are good. The torps are good. At least they have range, unlike the Minsk, right? The Minsk still has those tragically terrible, crummy for. I don't know why I played that line. Anyway, but Leningrad.
You wanted to get to the Grozavoy.
The Grozavoy. I think I like the Udaloy better, but we could talk about that in a different stream.
That's true.
But Leningrad. It seems like something you'd pick.
Yeah, and again, I know this is an oddball pick. I don't think this is the right boat for most people. It's definitely a for the lulz boat. I think you can get in there and have a good time with the Leningrad. The cool thing about the Leningrad, and one other thing I wanted to throw out was Skada and I were trying to come up with about 50-50 tech tree and 50-50 premiums, right? We wanted to kind of balance this a little bit. So, obviously, Skada started with a tech tree boat. We didn't put down just premiums because we know there's some really good boats in the tech trees as well. So in this case, I took a premium boat here. One advantage to the Leningrad, and I'm not saying over the Skana, but I just mean over any tech tree boat, is that you can throw a captain that you've trained all the way up to 21 points or 18 points or whatever, which can help you with some of that turret traverse. Even with a captain that's got turret traverse boost, though, you're right. You're gonna steer those guns with the rudder. Absolutely. Gmax comment about Tashkent. Tashkent's not bad. Kaba's better, but of course it is. It's a tier up, so that's good. I'd like to go play Tashkent again. I hated it when I got there, but I love the Kaba, so I bet you I'd like Tashkent now. Okay, any other thoughts on our number 3s here, Scott, or do you want to go to your number 2?
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Let's do it. There it is. Shiratsuyu, take it away.
Yeah, so as I've talked about this a lot, people, have probably talked about it in chat on shows. I'm not a DD player, and I started playing DDs because I ran out of other stuff to play. I'd finished battleships mostly, and I have all the cruisers, and I like to be going up tech trees. So I started with the IJN DD lines, I moved them up to 5 and started both of them basically at the same time a few months back. I don't know how long ago that was now. I guess it was before Christmas. And I believe firmly that the Shiratsuyu, which is the tier 7 on the line to Haragumo, I believe firmly that Minakaze and Hatsuharu and Shiratsuyu are better torp boats than the other side of the line, which is the Shima line, at least through 5 to 7. I don't like Fubuki at 6. I don't really care for Akatsuki. I would much rather use Shiratsuyu than Akatsuki. So that's why I picked Shiratsuyu. I think as far as Tech Tree torp boats go, I really dig it. I think I might have even Krakened in it. It was either this or Hatsuharu when I was leveling them. I just dug it. Torps are good. The torps aren't fast, but they hit hard. And the reload on them's not horrendous. And the guns are serviceable. Like the turret traverse is bad, but that you don't want to sleep on the IJN 127s. Like they start fires, they're good. If you're in smoke and you're sitting there waiting for your torps to come around, and you can shoot, use your guns like you should. They're good. They light fires. I've farmed many a cheap damage by taking a salvo with them and lighting a fire on a battleship and then running away while he lets it burn. That's why I picked this guy. I would be totally comfortable playing this ship. It's got great conceal, good long smoke, IJN smoke. I would be totally fine with playing this in the tier 7, tier 6, tier 7 ranked. I'd play Hatsuharu too, but why if I have a 7, right? Might as well use a 7. Yeah,
Hatsu's a good boat as well. Homegrown Cowboy asks about British ships. There's a couple on this list. We're definitely going to talk about British ships before we get done. For British DDs, well, let's finish the DDs. We'll talk about, there's a section for honorable mentions here at the end. We can certainly kind of talk about some of that here in a bit. I do like your comment about the AA rating. Terrible. It's 6. It's a guy screaming at the planes. That's actually pretty accurate. The Shira is not good at planes, and we do expect, this is a thing to remember, we do expect to see airplanes in ranked, right? We've got tier 6 in there, so tier 6 carriers are going to make an appearance in this season. So while you don't have great AA, Shiratsuyu can be kitted out with smoke. And it can also be kitted out with a rapid torpedo reload booster. So you can swap your smoke out, but it might be wise to keep the smoke because we expect to see those airplanes. Your mileage may vary on that. We'll see. But I agree 100% with Shiratsuyu as a pick for ranked, 100%. In fact, I think the reason I agree 100% is because I picked the same boat for slot number 2. I was able to get my conceal down to 5.8. I'm guessing that yours might have been 6 with no camo on. Is that what's going on here or something?
Oh, yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
I probably didn't have camo on or something.
But yeah, something like that. But again, same boat. My AA rating was 14. I don't know what's up with that. I'd be interested to go poke around at those numbers and see. But 14 is still not a great figure, right? Really liked the Shira with the reload booster. If you wind up in a no-carrier match with torpedo reload booster, it's a fantastic murder machine. GMAC comments wall of skill. Absolutely. It's dual 4 launchers, so that's actually 16 torpedoes that you can put out if you use the reload booster just 5 seconds apart, right? So again, decent. Homegrown Cowboy, thank you so much for the follow. Glad to have you joining the crew here. Much appreciated. So yeah, I don't have much to add because Skada, I think you said it all, man. Shiratsuyu, great pick. I called it the stealth assassin. I think that's true. That low detect is awesome.
You picked it number 2. I picked it number 2. How do you feel it stacks up against Akatsuki though? Would you like consider it? Well, if you didn't have Shiratsuyu, if you're working the other side, do you think Akatsuki fits in here?
Good question. Let me pull it up here on the client. I think I don't like it as much, but I can't tell you why. So I want to look at the figures to see if I can figure it out. Is Akatsuki.
I mean, I could tell you why for starters, because the concealment on it's trash. Like,
is it low?
It's way more. Yeah.
It's like
without perk, it's over 7. It's brutal. I don't like the 3x3 launchers. I like the 2x4s. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's got the 3x3 torpedo launchers. The torpedoes load in about 70 seconds, and I don't actually. Oh, I do own the ship. Never mind. I have a cat captain on it. And then Shira's reload time is 90 seconds. But I think, that probably works out to be pretty similar launch time, especially with the reload booster that you get on an Akatsuki.
Yeah, I just had better luck with the wall. Like, I putting out 8 torps. 9 torps is more than 8 torps, but I do better with I do better with more torps per launcher than I do without. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, it allows you to just corner off a bigger chunk of the water. Hey, don't go here, buddy. And you can throw those torps at them. I just felt like Shira was the superior boat. I didn't mind Akatsuki, but I didn't find myself having great games in it. And I did have great games in Shira. I feel like Shira is one of the strongest destroyers at its tier.
Yeah.
Certainly, I like it of the Japanese boats. And I would
totally
definitely
concur.
take it out over the Leningrad or the Skana, like we talked about, up to this point. All right, we're going to roll to your number one pick, T61 from the German line, tier 6.
Yeah, so my number one pick is one of the few tier 6s that I picked because T61's a murder boat. We both love this ship.
Yes.
I like German DDs. They are more jack of all trades than, like, they're not just torp boats. You can gun in this ship and it's good at gunning. But I don't dislike its torps. They're 8-kilometer range, but they're quick enough. I've had great matches in T61. There's a reason T61's being removed from the premium shop in 10.5. It's really good. It's exponentially better than the Gata.
Yes.
It's, in my opinion, I would rather play T61 than the Leibrecht Moss. I would most definitely rather play it than the new Z31. So if I was going Germans, and I can throw a 21-point captain on it and really dirtbag it up. So yeah, I like this boat, and it has hydros, which let you do what we like to do in German DDs. I love doing it in the Z52, which is push smoke and shoot people who don't expect it or are trying to hide, and just give them the business. So yeah, this is a great boat.
Yeah, T61, fantastic. All of the things you mentioned, decent guns. It's a great destroyer, right? For the same reason that the upper tier British or destroyers and stuff are, they've got acoustics, they've got smoke. The Germans do the acoustics better, and they don't do the smoke. It's different. I wouldn't say it's better than the British line. It's just different. But the T61 is just super balanced, very capable, and I think it's also what I picked. It is, yeah. So we lined up there with Shiratsuyu and T61. The thing I wanted to note is I knew on mine I'd put the equipment. Acoustics was torpedoes 3 kilometers and ships 4 kilometers, right? So 3K torps, if you wind up in a fight with another destroyer, hit those acoustics right away. You're going to have tons of time to dodge those torpedoes. You've got a rudder shift that's going to be, very helpful in that scenario. So fantastic. Mine has a gun range of 14 kilometers. I can't remember, what did you put on yours? Yours is 11.6. I'm able to use my Z52 captain, which is a 19-point captain here. That's probably where I got that extra range. Again, because it's a premium, we can drag down a high skill captain that still makes sense for T61 from the Z52. And that allows you to get to 14K range with your gun, so you don't even have to be close. That's also useful for after you've gone in and murdered all the destroyers on one cap, you can start fighting the next cap sooner than if you have to drive until you're 10 clicks away like you do with some of these other destroyers, right? So that range isn't just for being far away from the action, it's for getting to the action when you've already won the fight on your side of the map. And that's something I think you can count on choosing the T61. It's just a good boat. And it still has smoke, speed boost. 35 knots isn't fast, but it's not slow. So yeah, similar arguments for what you said. Not surprised that we agreed more or less on destroyers. Obviously, Skana I think is a solid pick. I've got no beef with that. And then I went with Leningrad for kind of a gas there. But yeah, Shiratsuyu T61, definitely 2 boats I would really consider. And so we've got the Shira reminding folks that's actually a tech tree boat, right? So you don't have to spend any money. You don't have to go get anything special. That's something you can just take out right now. That's in the line if you've unlocked it. And if you haven't, you can try to get there sometime during the season.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to throw out there briefly before we move on to cruisers, Homegrown Cowboys question about British ships. As far as destroyers go, I like Jervis. I'm on the Lightning now. I don't dislike Jervis. I have fun in those ships. It's just a different play style. I don't know. I wouldn't want to take it into ranked necessarily because I want more torp power than the Brits bring. I think I would actually be fine using Gallant. I might take Gallant at a 6 premium and throw a better captain on it. Maybe, like if you were done with the line, you could put your 10-point captain on there. And with captains that alternate now, right? You might have like a Conqueror captain or something that you could swing over and set him up if you had that boat. And I think my only like other honorable mention, as far as premiums go, we make fun of it because of Christmas and how it came out in boxes, but Yudachi is not terrible. We talk about
That's
Yudachi
true.
a fair
That's
amount.
true.
I think you and I both kind of like Yudachi. It's not terrible.
We do. Yudachi is a premium Shiratsuyu, so of course we would like it. It doesn't have quite as good a conceal. Its conceal, at least on mine, mine has a 15-point captain on it that I borrowed from somewhere else, is a 6.1, so it's a little bit worse than my 5.8 that I've got on the other. But similar guns, slightly different torpedo layout, but same gun layout and everything. So yeah, Yudachi's solid. Gallant is a good boat. The same thing that some of these others will suffer from, the Gallant suffers from, and that's really bad AA. I think it has a rating of 2. Let me pull that up real quick.
Other than, I mean, if you're worried about AA, I think your only two, I mean, I'm looking at my port, like the only 2 DDs I would worry about in that 6-7 range if I was worried about AA was Sims. And
yes.
you know, Sims has murder boat AA, but I just don't like the conceal on Sims. It's not like playing a DD the way I want to play DD.
Yeah.
And then Skana, right? Skana, Vasteros, they both have good AA because the Euros have better AA. It's not like epic in regards to puffs of flak though, which is where you're going to get your big hits on those tier 6 carrier squadrons. But honestly, if you're looking for your DD to go in and be the Holland, it's not there at this tier.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're probably right to recommend the Sims to the right kind of player. The Detect is 6.8, I think, with my configuration. Torps are like 9.2k kilometers. I mean, they're slow. The guns are decent. They spin super fast. Like it has the opposite problem that Leningrad has. Its guns just turn. It's not a problem, I guess. They just turn really fast. But yeah, it's a little more detectable than I would prefer. But it's still a pretty solid boat. Like I said, I like the Gallant. You can get its guns out to like 14 kilometers as well. So it's a solid pick if you're looking for something British. And again, if the thing that you mentioned, Skada, earlier was, and I can bring down a captain from up above, that buys you a lot of capability in some of these boats. Like, especially if you've moved past them on the line. Like you said, you took your good captain down the line from your Skana. So you have a 3-pointer on there who's just making sure the seat doesn't get too cold. It's hard to bring back a captain to a tech tree boat without paying, either captain for XP or doubloons to retrain them. So a lot of times that's one of the reasons why when you're coming on these lower tiers, premiums are a real solid.
Yeah, to be fair, like where I'm at in my progression up the tech trees, I don't have any 6s left to earn other than carriers. Right, I'm past 6, I'm past 5, I'm past 6.
Yep.
And I'm working on 1-7 right now. That's Gajamada. I'll end up playing Gajamada in this ranked, right? Because I want to XP it there. I don't think it's as good as the other 4 DDs I picked because it's limitations with deep water torps, but Gajamada doesn't suck. And I'll do fine in it, but I'll play it because I want to level it there. If I was at Skana, I'd be stoked to be playing that and leveling it there. I'd be happy to do that. Same with Shira. If in some of these other conversations we have about cruisers and BBs, it's harder for me. It was harder for me to pick some less than premiums, probably because I was looking at what I would actually play. Because I'm not leveling there, I'd just be like, F that. I'm going to take a premium. I'm going to throw a 21-point captain or a 20-point captain on it and go dirt bagging. But you do what you can.
Yeah, and I've got the Jervis on the screen right now. It's a good boat. You mentioned it. I would say if you don't have a T61, a Jervis is kind of a good facsimile of those capabilities. It's got acoustics, it's got torpedoes, it's got guns, and it's pretty decent at all of them. I don't think it's as good as the T61 is, but because it's a tier 7, it probably has more hit points. What does it have? Survivability. It's got 14.3. T61 has a T61 is 16.8 because it's broken. Never mind.
Finer than a German destroyers? No.
Yeah.
No, das ist nicht gut. Yeah, no, it's not there. I like Jervis, but it's and I just finished playing it and I have been enjoying that line. But it does what T61 does, just not as well. I mean, the hydros don't reach as far. The guns don't slap as hard.
Quintuple torps, it looks like, though, which is kind of nice. So
and they got that single fire gimmick, but they only go like 7 kilometers.
Yeah, they are shorter, I think. Yeah, 7.0. So, all right, I'm going to come back to our spreadsheet here, or our presentation. Oh no, it's going to play the news. Sorry, guys. There, I can turn that off now that we've already enjoyed the news theme once. Sorry, guys. That's like pre-coded in there. Okay, we're past that.
Disappointed that a pizza party didn't break out.
Oh, that would have been dope. We can definitely make that happen. Okay, so we're gonna bounce over. Do you want? I'll go first on this side.
Yeah.
Let me get clicked out of there so the arrow key works. So nobody is surprised by this. I had to put the Lazo in here somewhere. I will say one of the Lazo. I'm going to start off with its weaknesses. One of the Lazo's weaknesses is that it doesn't do big alpha damage. It doesn't bully people out of caps and things. It scares people out of caps who don't have steely resolve, right? If you're a battleship and you're in a cap and a Lazo is raining fire shells down on you, and you get spooked by this, you get afraid of this, you'll drive away. But a battleship who is very skilled and has a good line on a Lazo can dish it up on him. I talk about this every time I take it out. It's just like my pre-programmed response. I always drive the Lazo out there. I take a 15,000 damage hit from a battleship, and I go, oh yeah, I shouldn't be too dang close. And then I back up and I kick butt in it. But I do recommend the Lazo. It has a 17.3 kilometer range before hitting its spotting plane. Then you hit the spotting plane, you're up to 20.8 kilometers in a tier 7 light cruiser that can shoot 1,252 millimeter rounds every 9 seconds. And they have a pretty good fire chance. I run mine with IFHE, so it's got a 31 millimeter pen on those HE shells, which winds up really getting through the superstructure of battleships, gets through the deck on a lot of cruisers, especially at like tiers. I run that IFHE to shoot tier 8s and to shoot tier 9s. At tier 7, tier 6, you're going to shred stuff in the Lazo as long as you don't get too close and get yourself blown up. So don't drive in too close. Torpedoes, LOL, these are a joke. Pretend you don't have them. AA defense is decent, 48. Speed is fair at 35. That's competitive with some of the destroyers you're going to see at tier 6, tier 7. So that's fine for a light cruiser like this guy. Concealment is okay, but not super low at 11.6. And then the special thing about this boat that nobody really knows about, and a lot of people don't care about, is that it has basically an always available spotting plane. It reloads in 9.5 seconds. So once your spotting plane lands and your 20.8 kilometer firing range goes down to 17.3, which is still more than most ships can do, you can hit it again in 9.5 seconds and have the plane up there. And I think you get like 6 of them. So you can run that plane basically all match, shooting dudes 20 miles away or 20K away. Skada, Lazo comments. What do you think?
I like Lazo. I love it when I see a Lazo because inevitably he's going to go broadside early and I'm going to get a couple citadels. They always seem to do that. They're kind of like a tier 7 Omaha that way. It's a good boat. It lights fires from a long range. And like you said, running IFHE on it almost might be overkill against tier 7s. You're going to be able to pen the bejesus out of pretty much, most battleships. Although, tier 7's funny because you still get some dreadnoughty type armor at tier 7. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ships you're going to be able to get good solid HE pen with that. Cruisers you'll be able to shred with it. It'll be good for that, and it's got great gun ballistics. Russian cruiser gun ballistics are rad. They are like when we had a friend that joined our clan that was struggling trying to figure out what line to play. I pushed him towards Russian cruisers because he wanted to play cruisers and he was trying to play US stuff and he was struggling, and I was like, go play the Russians. The guns are easy mode. The shell velocities and the arcs aren't there, man. It's way easier to learn to aim and lead and do damage with them. And if you're going to be in a mid-tier cruiser that's a floating pop can and gets takes big hits if you don't play right anyway, then you might as well at least be in one that you can handle the guns in. So
yeah, concur. And for again, Lazo's a premium. You can get this for coal right now. I think you can buy it for bucks as well. But I know you can get it for coal. If you don't want to get a Lazo, if you don't want to waste your coal. I think buying a Lazo is not a waste, but if you don't want to spend your coal on it, you can get the Shchors, which is the Tech Tree Tier 7 boat. And it does a lot of the same things the Lazo does. It doesn't have the special spotting plane, but it is a pretty good boat with very similar gun ballistics. I think it can still shoot 17.3K or something similar to that. I always joke with my friends who like the Atlanta. I say the Shchors is an Atlanta, except for you don't die instantly in it, right? It's just the same kind of game, except for you can do it from safety. So think about the Shchors if you don't want to spend the coal or the bucks on a Lazo. Okay, I'm going to bounce over to Skada's next pick. Click. There we go. Here it is, Algerie.
Yeah, my number 3 is Algerie. The first line, the first line I played when I started playing ships a couple years ago was U.S. cruisers because I'm American and that's what we do. Everybody starts like going, "I'm playing American cruisers."
That's true.
And I got up to the Pensacola and it was a tire fire, and I was like, "This isn't fun." And clanmate Honey Badger, I don't know if he's ever been on the stream with us, but Honey Badger was like, "Go play French cruisers, you'll like them better," because he talked to me about kind of what I was trying to do. And I started playing the French line, and that was I worked out my first 10 was the Henry, and that was when Henry was still cool. Now no one plays it. It's literally a ghost shell. But I like Algerie. Algerie's got great guns. The 203s on them rip. The AP's strong. Shell velocity is not Russian good, but it's better than most. So like they're pretty easy to work with and lead and aim. They have great range. It's got good range for a 7. Fire chance on the HE is stellar, like most French. And then Algerie's got reload booster, so if you set your captain up to have, superintendent and stuff, you can reload boost and just range shells. You can get like 3 or 4 rounds, 3 or 4 reloads in during that reload boost, which was great use to that. You could use that to effect to get fires. I love to shoot somebody with the Algerie, like a battleship at 15-16, get a fire, watch him Damacon.
Yes.
And then hit that reload booster and then pump HE into him and get 2 or 3 fires, right? And then just watch his crew scream and burn as we laugh and eat our baguettes. So no, I dig Algerie. Algerie's got a lot of other fun stuff. It's not slow. It's a fast boat. It has turbos. It has speed boost. I put rudder shift on mine so you can dance with it and make Colorado sad because they have to wait for their reload to come around. It's got 9-kilometer torps that are great for water space management. I don't think you want to use them offensively, but I love using them for water space management and chucking them around islands just in case. It's got hydros or defensive AA. I think if we see a lot of carriers, I might run defensive AA, but my first inclination is always to run hydros, and they're good hydros and they help you against destroyers. So it's a good heavy cruiser. That's what you got to keep in mind. This is a heavy cruiser. This is not a light cruiser like Lazo. Because it has 203s, it's a heavy cruiser. And remember, folks, just because it's a heavy cruiser, that only means the guns are bigger than 200 millimeters. It does not mean that it's got dreadnought armor.
Yeah, that is a big thing to recall, is that it's about gun size. It's not about armor size. Heavy cruiser doesn't mean you're invincible. It just means that if a Algerie gets the side of a Lazo, it's going to be a bad day for that Lazo, right? You're going to punch, or for that matter, the side of another Algerie, right? You'll do good work against another cruiser of any sort. Solid pick, man. I like the Algerie as well. It's fast. I think you can equip the speed booster module. Is that true? Can you hook that up on the
slot
Algerie?
2. Slot 2.
And so
if you're really brazen and you want to spend coal on your tier 7 Algerie to be a real murder boat, you can put turbos on it. That's true.
Yeah, I think I did for a little while when I was playing through the line, and I demounted it and moved it, for doubloons and stuff because I figured I'd throw money down the toilet. But yeah, it's nice on those French cruisers, especially if you get up to high tier ones and any of the other boats that make sense. Some of the French destroyers, the German or Russian destroyers, to run that high speed module, because then that speed lasts for like 3 minutes, and people are like, why is this guy going 43 knots for 3 minutes? That shouldn't happen. And you're like, yes, it should. That's been cool to make it happen.
It's great. It's got it also has fighter plane, which we both think fighter plane is completely useless as far as AA defense. But if your hydros are on cooldown and you're not sure if there's a guy on the other side of an island, the fighter plane can help you out there.
Yeah, I have a note on one of these ships that I have where I said, has fighter plane, worst consumable in the game, but it does have its uses, and that's actually one of them. That you're not actually using it to do AA, you're using it to spot a ship on the other side of an island. And if you're not doing that now, think about that tactic. It's something you can use. Absolutely. Okay, let's bounce over here. We'll click down to my next one, which is Helena. I wanted to get a tech tree boat in with my cruisers as well. And I spent a lot of time, even though I said I just wanted to get a tech tree boat in, I spent a lot of time looking at U.S. cruisers because I know that at Tier 7, U.S. cruisers has some good boats. It's got the Boise, which is a premium. It's got the Helena, which is not a premium. And then there's also the Indianapolis. I ended up putting the Helena on this list because it's got 8.5 second reload. It's got middle range. It's 14.6 kilometer range. And then they're 152s, right? So the Helena always seems to cause me problems when I'm either in a battleship and I'm fighting the Helena's buddy, or when I'm fighting or if I'm in a destroyer and a Helena spots me and they're too close. So like it's a real issue for me because the HE they've got just tears things up. The other thing that's great about the Helena is it's got a 63 AA rating. The only cruiser I think in my port at tier 6 and 7 that has a better AA rating is the Wanghae, but it's a tier 6, and I think the HE and the range and stuff on the Helena is better. So I would go with the Helena over it. And take a crack at using the Helena first. 32.5 knots isn't the fastest, but it's not super slow. It's fine. Conceal is low. It's less than Lazo. I think it's less than Algerie. Let me pop over here. Your conceal was 12.1. So over here we're 10.4 on the Helena, right? So you can get low on that thing. Equipment, it's got acoustics, it's torpedoes 3 kilometers, and ships at 4. So again, for being safe from destroyers, if you have to hunt a destroyer, you're good. You've also got defensive AA, so it's a little bit of a destroyer hunter and a little bit of an AA boat. And then it has the fighter, which again is the lamest thing ever. Homegrown Cowboy, great question. Another thing you can look for, and I'll switch over and show you. Let me grab my Algerie real quick. France, Algerie. Where is the equipment tab? Let me switch over here and I'll just take a second and show you. One thing you can do, you can come in here and you can click on... Can you not? I thought we could mount it. Maybe you can't mount the speed booster module on here. I thought it had a little green marker on here. Skada,
no, you have to.
Do I have to have one installed?
You'd have to have one in your
okay.
pocket to see it.
Yeah. Okay. I normally there's a little marker here that indicates it can go on there, but you know, if Skada's correct, then yeah, it's the wiki's the right way to go. I'll drop a link to that in chat here when we go to Skada's next boat. Let me switch back over to this. Hopefully, it doesn't play the news song again. Okay, good. I muted it. So yeah, Helen is great. So yeah, I can't not recommend it. I think it's good for destroyers, it's good for battleships, and it's good for airplanes. Skada, what are your thoughts?
Why don't you cut over to my second pick right away, and I will continue because.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Well, my second pick's not the Helena. My second pick's the Boise, which is a sister ship of the Helena. And so a lot of the things that you like about the Helena, I like about the Boise. But a couple differences, right? The Boise it doesn't have the gun range that the Helena does for whatever reason. It doesn't reach as far. That might just be how mine is set up. But Helena and Boise are sister ships. Boise is a Helena, but Boise is a premium if you have it, and it has a freaking mega heel. Like it's a Conqueror. You can print a new Boise if you get beat up. And so while if you have the Tech Tree Helena, I think it's a great pick because it just has so many guns and the rate of fire is great. I really enjoy that boat. But if I'm going to go in because I have Boise, I'm going to use Boise. I'm going to put my Worcester captain or one of my overpowered captains on it. And I'm going to really take advantage of that super heel that it has. But it's a lot of the same stuff, right? It's got hydros. It's just tier 7 cruisers that have a heel or one thing, but then having the heel the Boise does is kind of a sideshow. So a lot of it's like all the same things and a super heel. So if you have Boise, that's why it's my number 2.
Yeah, the Boise's heel is 799 hit points per second. It lasts for 20 seconds, so it's not 28 like the battleships we looked at earlier, and then it reloads in 80 seconds. So that means a huge amount of hit points can come back when you've taken light damage. I was bragging about the Duke of York's 428 or 425 hit points per second because that's a big heal compared to other battleships at its tier. This is dang near double that. It's incredible. And then the other thing to note about the Boise is the Nueva de Julio is the same boat. So if you've got the Nueva de Julio from some mission or from a Christmas box or something, it's got all the same perks of the Boise. And Scott, I think the range difference there is really just a balancing thing. I'm sure that you've had that hunch as well because of the super heel and all that. They've shortened its range a little bit.
I think that's the case. I don't think that it's a config thing, but I know some of our stats have been slightly different on some stuff based on config. So, mileage may vary. Check the wiki, check WoW's fitting tool. Those are great places to get all the straight dope depending on your configs.
Yeah, I've just dropped the link to the fitting tool there in chat as well. We dropped the wiki link a little earlier, so you've got those tools. If you've never been there, go check those things out. You'll find them to be useful tools, good research places. It's not always easy to find a video or a stream that's talking about exactly what you need to know. Those tools are where those people who do videos and streams get that information. So cool. Alrighty, I'm going to bounce down to my number one, which is Fiji. I like the Fiji for a lot of reasons. The Fiji, Skada said it earlier. He said, tier 7 cruisers with a heel are great. Obviously, the Boise's heel is fantastic. The Fiji has a heel. It's not as good as Boise's. Wait, Fiji has a heel? Crap, am I lying about that? I got to go check. Yes, it has a heal. The heal is 188 hit points per second for 28 seconds, reloads in 76. So it's way, way, way weaker than the heal for Boise, but it has one, and that's solid. The other cool thing about the Fiji is it lets you be close to the action. You're going to be within 15 or so kilometers of range from the enemy because you've got a gun range of about 15 kilometers, but you've got smoke. So you can get up close, you can hit that smoke, and then you'll be wherever the action is. If you're careful and if you're smart, you won't get killed, and you can redeploy over to where the next fight is going to be. And one of the things that's going to help you stay safe in that smoke is the acoustics capability that the ship has. Again, it's a torpedoes 3 and ship's 4 kilometer acoustics module, which is decent. The conceal is 10.1 with the captain perk and the camo, all those things bolted on. I have the premium camo. You can use a consumable camo and get that same benefit. Torpedoes, 8 kilometers, 61 knots. Really good, really good all-round boat. And then to top it all off, a 58 rating for AA, not to mention the 7.1 kilometer secondary range, which I put on here because it's kind of comical. I don't think you should try to get into secondary fights with the Fiji, but if you do, if a DD decides to get frisky, you're going to be able to heat them up at least a little bit. They don't have a lot of secondaries on this thing, but they've got some. So that's kind of my take on the Fiji. We'll go to Skada.
You know how I feel about Fiji. I think, honestly, it should be on my list. I left it off my list because of my number one and because I knew you'd pick it.
Yes, you did.
I struggle to not say that Fiji's the best tech tree tier 7. I think it's the best tech tree tier 7 cruiser in the game.
Fiji?
We haven't gotten to play the Canine and Dyke or whatever the new Dutch tier 7's called. It might be better, but right now, if somebody said you can only play tech tree boats, this is the tier 7 cruiser I would play. It is a murder boat against DDs. It doesn't matter that it doesn't have HE. The British AP is rad. In fact, I think it's almost easier to play this line because you don't even have to think about it. You're like, what ammo do I use? I use the ammo that's in my left mouse button. It's always there. The torps are useful. The hydros are good. The smoke is good. It's just a good boat. I dig it. So Fiji, and we have a lot of clanmates that love the Fiji. Couple Ammo, who joins us often, it's like his favorite. It's one of his favorites, and he's really good in it. And it's a great boat.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it's on my list. But yeah, let's go to your number one because I think that is also a good boat. Tell me about the Belfast.
Yeah. So my number one is the King of the Dirtbags at tier 7. And in my head, when you brought the Fiji out, I thought your number one would be the Fiji. And I thought, in my head, I heard this great song from the 1950s. I believe it was sung by Doris Day. Everything you can do, I can do better. Everything I can do better than you. The Belfast is a tier 7 Edinburgh, because why not? It doesn't have torps, so it can't do that. And it doesn't have the heel that Fiji has. But by God, it has hydros, radar, and smoke. It has AP and HE. And it has a really cool thing. I was looking at it last night when I was putting this together. A thing that they used to do with premiums in this game is that they don't do anymore. It's a tier 7 premium that can slot 5 modules. So you can slot concealment on it. But its concealment is so good. I don't even have concealment slotted on it. With a concealment captain, its concealment's under 10. If you put concealment on it, it's under 9. I actually run the consumable buff, the 10% action time on consumables, so that it buffs my radar, my hydros, and my smoke generation, because I'm fine with a sub 10 concealment on a light cruiser. Belfast is a magic carpet that you can't get. It's been out of the game for a long time. you're going to see them in this bronze ranked because dirtbags like me and whales like me that have them are going to bring it out because it's an absolute murder boat. And it has been crept. I've had really great games in it even the last year, but it's not what it always used to be because there's a lot of other great ships. And, you can't play stupid. But, man, if you roll into a cap with this, there's a DD that sees you, he shoots, he smokes, you smoke, you radar. Hey, buddy. Or you hydro, and it's just a rad boat. I know you don't have it. I know that makes you very sad. But
it's true. I don't.
It's my number one pick for this. If I play cruisers, if you're sailing the seas with in bronze ranked over the next couple of months, and you see Skada, it'll probably be in the Belfast if he's in a cruiser.
Yeah, Belfast would have made my list if I had one. More or less, I shopped from the bin of boats that I have, right? But having never played the Belfast, it was one that I they were like, it's leaving the game. And I was like, should I buy it? And I said no, right? I decided not to. Wise choice, unwise choice, whatever. I have a lot of boats, but at the same time, it would be cool to have a Belfast in the port. But again, looking at it, right, it's got a lot of the same things from Fiji, right? It's got the same guns, it's got the same range, it's got HE now, which is great. Better AA than the Fiji, slightly faster, I think. Yeah. No, I didn't put I did 34.1. Same speed, but better concealment. It's just a great pick. So there's no surprise to me whatsoever. I think you're going to see a lot of Belfast out there this season. So yeah, don't be surprised when you're fighting a Belfast. Know that it has radar and smoke. If you've never fought one before, keep that in mind because that's going to be something you're facing. Honorable mentions for tier 7 cruisers, tier 6 cruisers. I struggled with this category. There's a bunch of decent boats here. I like the Zara from the Italian line. If you're looking at a tech tree boat, Zara is really strong. The Sap is fantastic against other cruisers. It's great against destroyers as well. I even like the Graf Spey. I don't think I'd want to choose it because of its tier 6ness. Its rate of fire is a little bit low, but it has the same guns on it off the Scharnhorst, which is a great battleship at tier 7. So we know the Graf Spey can do stuff and blast cruisers like tier and even up at tier 7. It also has a hull repair, which is nice. It has acoustics. It has torpedoes that go 8 kilometers. I think that's a good pick. I think if Kablamo were here, he'd say Bugioni's super powerful, and I would remind him that he could also choose the Shchors, and he'd probably go, yeah, I'd probably choose the Shchors or the Lazo in that case. And then the other I mentioned earlier was Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a decent boat. It doesn't get played a lot, but it has radar and acoustics. You can swap the acoustics for defensive AA if you want. You can swap the radar for a fighter, but you'd be a fool to do that. The thing that's cool about the Indy is it's got 203s, and in a U.S. cruiser, it can shoot 16.9 kilometers. That's almost 17K in a U.S. cruiser with 203s. What's not to like? I think the Indy's fantastic. I ended up going with the Helena because the Indy's reload on those 203s is 14.3 seconds, and the Helena is I think 8.5 is I think what it was. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of solid picks that you could take for tier 6, tier 7 cruisers. Scott, anything that I missed that you want to add or
honorable mentions that honorable mentions Flint if you have it.
Yes.
It's now available as like a history of steel, expensive coal boat. Right. Flint's going to be buffed tomorrow. Its gun range is going to go up. They screwed it over in the captain rework, and it's only had like 11 kilometer guns for 2 months. I crackened in Flint last week. It's a ton of fun. It has what does it have? Benson torps. And it's an Atlanta, so it's got like these 9.2 kilometer torps, and it's got Atlanta guns, and it has smoke, and it has hydros. It's totally overpowered. I didn't think I could put it on the same list as Belfast. I might actually play it more than I play Belfast because I like the way Flint plays. I just like the way it handles. Indianapolis, because it has radar, you're going to see a lot of them. You're going to see people go, well, I do have the Indianapolis. And they're going to bring it out because radar is going to be a hot commodity. There's only a few ships at 7 that have radar.
Yeah.
It's not out yet, but it will come out in the next few weeks, I'm pretty sure. The Weimar. We haven't talked about the Weimar a lot on stream, but the Weimar is a tier 7 premium German cruiser. It is a York hull, which is a pretty stout hull with light guns on it and lots of them. It's basically a tier 7 version of the Mines, which is an awesome tier 8 German premium cruiser. And they, in fact, in the patch notes this week, they noted before they released it, they nerfed the reload on the guns because it was too overpowered. I'm pretty sure. I think when it comes out in the next few weeks, you're going to see people play it. I think it's going to be strong. So yeah, that's another one. Those are all premiums, but I have a lot of premiums, and I don't care. Like if I was gonna, like I said, you said Zara is great. I don't know. I wouldn't take like the Devonshire. I wouldn't take the. I like Leander, but I'm not looking to play 6. Like I'm not going to play the Nuremberg. I'm not going to, like I wouldn't play York. New Orleans, I've played well in. I've got a 62% win rate in New Orleans. I could probably use it and be serviceable.
Munchen. Neither of us picked Munchen. I don't have it. I think it's an interesting boat. It's a 7, I believe, right? So Skada.
I have Munchen.
What do you think?
Of course, wait, come on. You say none of us have Munchen.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't have Munchen. But what do you think?
Munchen has like 12 hit points. It's like it has destroyer hit points. Munchen is a German Atlanta, I think is the best way to describe it. I think it's funny that Weimer's coming out and and I think Weimer's going to be better than Munchen with a very similar kind of gimmick, which is it's a German cruiser with high rate of fire, small caliber guns. I think Munchen has like destroyer guns, like what did it have, like 128s on it? Let me look at mine. I haven't played it in a while.
I believe it's small like that, like Atlanta is.
It's got the 150s. It's got like 150s.
Oh, it does. Okay.
They fire, the rate of fire on them is really good. It's like, what is it? 5-second reload, and that's without a captain on mine. So Munchen's okay. Like Munchen only has like 27,000 hit points though, and the few times I've played it, I kind of got dunked on in it from trying to do too much. But if I owned Weimer, I would use Weimer instead of Munchen.
The only other boat I think is probably, there's a couple that I think are worth mentioning, but not for me. Somebody out there is probably really good at like Molotov, right? And I think somebody might find that they want to take one of those Russian larger caliber gun boats that's bigger than the 150s. So like a Molotov or something similar could show up. I don't think you'll see a lot of them, but there'll be some dude who's Unicum in Molotov who takes that out there. Pensacola you won't see because people will take things like Indianapolis instead, right? So or New Orleans or what have you, like you were just talking. So I don't think you'll see those, but you may see some people try to take those. The Zara comment I made, I totally, Zara is sort of like your Algerie pick, right? Especially if you're working that line. What a great opportunity. It's a tough ship and a great opportunity to get some XP in it. So yeah, one other thing I'd throw out there, just totally out of my port, that most people are probably happy they don't have. If you have the tier 6 Commonwealth Perth or Mysore, I like Perth. Perth's a Leander with creeping smoke and HE and a spotter plane that makes it shoot really far, so you can pop creeping smoke and a spotter plane and kind of chug along and shoot people and be a jerk. And Mysore is a Fiji at tier 6, just without torps. So if for some reason you were like, I really want to play Commonwealth premium cruisers at tier 6 in ranked, there's 2, and I think they're both good. Yeah, again, I'd probably lean towards a 7 if I had one, but those are interesting picks, and you'll probably see somebody take them out there. They'll trot them out there and give them a shot. So, all right. Trying to power level a captain before the Yukon comes out, maybe. Actually, that's not a total shock right there. I could see that happening. All right, let's bounce down. We're going to go to you first for battleships. Sign up. Tell us about it. Sinop is overpowered because it's Russian tech tree battleship. I haven't played it in a little while. I finished that line a while ago, but I was like, I got to have a tech tree battleship here. And I think out of the choices available, I think Sinop's really strong, right? It's got 406s with crazy shell velocity. You're gonna overmatch stuff. You're gonna overpen a lot of the cruisers we've been talking about, but if you don't, you're gonna Citadel the bejesus out of them. And you're gonna be strong against other battleships. It's just got really good guns. I had a hard time doing this list and not strictly looking at stuff that had 406s that I could overmatch. A lot of stuff at tier 7 has smaller caliber guns still. Sinop does not have that problem. Sinop has good gun angles too. You can kite away with Sinop like a jerk for a long time, and you can shoot over the shoulder well in it. It moves around well. It's not super slow. Handles relatively decent. Downsides of the Russian line: limited damage cons and you don't have unlimited repair party or not repair party, but unlimited damage control, right? So you've got to use your damage control sparingly. And it's a tech tree boat, so you'd want to have like
I really feel like functional battleships, you really need at least a 14-point captain right now, and I don't think that's any different. And so you'd have to have like a 14-point captain on a tier 7. But if you're leveling the line, I think you're going to see this boat. I think it's a strong contender. It's got great armor. I just think it's a good boat.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sinop's a tough pick for all the reasons you mentioned. I remember when I got to the Ismail. Ismail hits hard, but not consistently. Sinop gets rid of that problem. It starts hitting hard consistently. It's just a really great boat. And that was the first boat where I said, oh, okay, here's the Russian bias. I've been looking for it this whole line from tier 5 on up, 4 on up, but there it is in the Sinop, right? So if you're looking for a boat that can just decimate cruisers from 14K, because it can get in close because it's well armored and well gunned and just decimate stuff. I think Sinop's a good pick.
Another thing I'd mention about it really quickly.
But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, did you also pick Sinop? Yeah. 26 millimeter deck plating across the board, right? And so, which not amazing when you're fighting tier 9 cruisers, but when you're fighting tier 7 cruisers, and like you pointed out how your Lazo, you have IFHE, right? So with IFHE, you can pen that deck. But a lot of your HE spammer cruisers in these tiers aren't going to be able to pen that.
152s pen 25 mil. So if you're at 26, that's literally 1 mil more than you need. I don't think that's an accident. That's Russian bias. That's what we're talking about when we talk about
exactly.
That.
And so when you look at stuff like Flint and Atlanta and your small caliber fire spammers, Munchen, things of that nature, you're going to shatter shells all over that guy's deck.
Totally agree. So I also picked Sinop for third slot. I said total fake nonsense boat. Hits like a ton of brick, because it does. This is a great boat. It's fantastic. On your side, I liked your comment over here where you just said slaps. Yes, it does. The HE pen on this thing is 68 millimeters too. So for the decks of cruisers, the decks of battleships, even with the HE you're going to pen, you're not going to spend a lot of time with your HE loaded in this boat though, because the AP is very, very, very strong. You mentioned the high AA rating. 69 is pretty dang good. It's not, unstoppable. It's not going to just shred every airplane, but that's just simply not possible with the way the game is today. You're always going to get some plane is going to get through. You're going to get attacked by airplanes. That's okay. You're fighting tier 6 airplanes though. 69 rating at tier 7 versus tier 6 planes. You're going to be fairly comfortable. It's not real fast. It's not real sneaky. The repair party on this one is 325 hit points over 28 seconds. Reloads in 80. So pretty standard fare. It's a little bit, I think, above average. I feel like a lot of the tier 6, tier 7 battleships are 250 to 300 per second. And so that does the trick for getting your hit points back. Limited DCP, Skada mentioned this as well. You get 4 charges, 40-second reload on them. It's a weakness because it means you need to use them sparingly, but it's a strength because it means you can use them every 40 seconds, which means they can't really burn you if you're willing to hit that R button when you're on fire. They can't burn you for that many hit points, right? That was a big thought when this line came out. And then it's got a fighter. Again, worst consumable in the game, but if you're worried about where that DD is that went to the other side of the island, then you can use that fighter to maybe get eyeballs on that guy and figure out which way is the best way to steer your boat to take the least number of torpedoes. Any final thoughts on Sinop before we roll on to the next boat?
No, let's go to the next boat.
All right, let's do it. You've got Nelson.
Yeah, so another premium. Nelson's a strong contender, right? I dig the Nelson. Again, 406s that hit like a truck. Big damage. All the guns forward. Nelson's been in the game a long time. People are familiar with Nelson. I think it's still available for free XP and for like very little free XP in today's economy, right?
Yes.
And again, it's leaving the game at 10.5. It's got great. Again, I was talking about deck armor on the Sinop. All of Nelson's bow is 26 millimeter, which kind of sucks. But past its bow, its deck's 32 millimeter, which is really great. You can beat up its bow, but once it's saturated, the rest of the armor is pretty stout. Nelson's just amazing British HE fire spamming 406s, but then don't not use the AP because it's 406s. You're going to overmatch tons of stuff at tier 7. And then when you take too much fire damage, you can print another Nelson because it has the crazy super heal that you get on Well, you don't normally get it until what? Conqueror and Lion, I guess. Is Lion has it at tier 9. It's just like
Yes, yes.
yeah, it's so strong at this tier. It's not a fast ship, but I'm curious to see what map sizes we get in 6-7. But I think it's a really good pick.
Yeah, if history serves, and if memory serves, I should say, if memory serves and if history is any indication, you'll be on kind of some mid-sized maps, so it won't take long for you to get within range of your targets. Nelson was really, really popular last time they did. GMAC, I'll check that out here in a second. Hang on a sec. But yeah, it was really, really dominant last time they did tier 7 ranked, and I suspect we'll see them coming out in the droves again. If you don't have a Nelson yet, Skada mentioned how cheap it is, 375,000 free XP or something, which used to feel like a lot, and now it's not. If you don't have one, go get it. If you like battleships at all, if you want to have a premium, if you want to have a captain trainer, anything like that, I would definitely consider grabbing the Nelson. It's a very solid pick, and like you said, 406s, it burns everything. The AA is a little bit low, but that's okay because you're going to get a lot of light damage from planes in most cases. We didn't used to have AP bombs, so that used to be a bigger benefit than it is. Now you used to just get firebombed and then you'd use your mega super heal and get all those hit points back. Nowadays you got to worry about AP bombs and torps that are, torps have always been able to do critical damage or whatever the bad kind of damage is. But yeah, Nelson's a great pick. I have to agree with you 100% here. I think that's a solid boat. GMAC is asking about the slot 1 upgrade for Sinop, and I think that's the one that I know the one you're talking about now. I just have to come in here. I want to look at it closely before I throw you. You were talking about the damage con upgrade. You said slot 1 upgrade. I think it's slot 2, right? The damage control system that reduces the catching fire and flooding. I do still run that on my Sinop, and I think it's a good idea on most battleships to just not catch on fire as often. So for me, I still think that's a good idea.
He's actually talking about damage control party mod 1, which is a coal.
Oh, is that a
upgrade.
coal mod?
Yeah, it's a coal upgrade that
Okay,
gives you plus 40% action time on your damage control parties. So some people run that on Russian BBs.
Is that better?
Because then I mean, I don't run it because I don't want to spend coal on that, and I don't run it on my Kremlin, but when you run it, the damage control party runs for 40% longer. And then if you take some of those captain perks that we got in the captain skill change, you can have your damage control like cook off for quite a long time and stop you from catching fire again. I think it's viable. Yeah, but it's just not something I would do, but I wouldn't dissuade somebody from doing it over, what are you normally going to take in slot 1? It's always going to be like main armament mod.
Which isn't special either, really.
If I had 17,000, if I already had the Immelman and then I had nothing to buy with coal again, I would consider buying one to play with it based on the fact that GMAC brought it up. But I don't think it's a bad choice. It's just not something I've used.
It's kind of interesting. And you've heard me say this kind of stuff in the past, and this is the way I think. I don't know that it's the right way to think. Okay, so everyone's opinions and mileage may vary, but like when I think about that kind of stuff, that's the sort of mod that gives me a benefit when somebody else makes a decision that I can't control, right? So I turn that on, I get caught on fire. I guess I can choose when to use it, but if I get continuous spam of fire coming in, a lot of times that's based on decisions other people are making, so I can't use that skill to affect the game in a way directly. Although you could use it, I guess, to stay alive if you get caught between two Atlantas or an Atlanta and a another fire spammer or something, right? Or two Lazos. So maybe there's some option to it. I hadn't considered it, but like you said, GMAX suggested it. Now I'm kind of thinking about that as, what would that do? How would that benefit or hinder my play? And what am I trading away for it, right? Because main armament mod, I go in there and take a look at that guy. That guy gives you a whole bunch of main armament becoming incapacitated reduction, better survivability, faster repair time, torpedo tube stuff. So half the stuff doesn't even make sense, right? There's 3 items about torpedoes and then 3 items about main battery. And how often does Sinop get its main guns knocked out? if we were looking at the armor profiles, which would be a fun thing to do on another stream someday, I think Sinop has pretty tanky guns. So maybe we don't lose guns on Sinop that much. And so it makes sense to throw that out and go with this don't burn me thing. So yeah, that's an interesting pitch, GMAC. I'll have to think about that a little bit more and see what kind of comes of it. I think you're right, Scott. It's expensive. Coal. I always want to buy ships with coal, but I haven't shied away from buying some of the other coal upgrades for ships that I really like. So maybe not for a Sinop, but maybe for Kremlin, something like that.
Yeah. Again, like I want to buy captains and I want to buy ships first, right? And so I bought Gunther Lutyens and there was no more ships for me to buy. Then I was like, cool. And then they put out the Immelman. I'm like, gotta save coal again. So there's been some situations like where I want to buy the coal speed boost mod or the coal radar mod for some ships that I picked up, and I just have held off because I'm saving.
Because you're saving for bigger payoffs, right? I get it. Yep. Yeah, totally. All right, I'm going to go to my number 2 pick here, which is the Scharnhorst. So Scharnhorst, you're going to find that I pick kind of weird battleships because I'm not really a battleship player. Scharnhorst, the reason I picked it is because it's kind of a battleship. It's kind of a cruiser. This thing has small guns. They're 283s, but they reload in 20 seconds. And 283s are good enough to punk any cruiser that you come across. It's got decent secondaries, which used to be a lot more fun than they are now. I don't have the range on here, but I think it's something in the 7.6 seconds or kilometers or something like that. HE pin on this thing is 71 millimeters. So if you're shooting, heavily armored things and you happen to need to be using AP, or even cruisers and you happen to have AP or HE, excuse me, you had your HE loaded because you were fighting a destroyer earlier or something, you can still pan a lot of stuff with your HE. Decent AA at 66, so it's a little stronger than the Nelson, which we were just looking at. Reasonable speed at around 30. And the concealment is terrible. You do not get very sneaky in the Scharnhorst. They can always see you. One thing that people think the Scharnhorst has is acoustics, but it does not. Neither does the Tirpitz. So we've got to be careful in the Scharnhorst. And when you're in a destroyer, you can be aware that the Scharnhorst does not have acoustics. And so that is a weakness that ship has, and you can exploit if you know about it. A lot of people are unduly afraid of this boat, so don't be. Repair party's okay, 281 over 28 seconds. So looking back up a slide, 325 over 28 seconds, or per second for 28 seconds for Sinop. So that makes Sinop's heal a lot stronger than Scharnhorst. And I believe Sinop has a bigger hit point pool as well. Fighter or spotter, choose the spotter. Fighter is not that great. Spotter can do all the useful stuff that fighter can do and a couple extra things. That's my number 2 pick. Skada, Scharnhorst.
Do you want to go to my number 1 pick, which was?
I do.
My number 1 pick is the Scharnhorst. And it goes against everything I've been saying so far about wanting to pick the ships with 406s because I want to overmatch. I picked the Scharnhorst at number 1 because I like playing the Scharnhorst and I am competent in the Scharnhorst and I enjoy its playstyle. My Scharnhorst is built for secondaries. I use Gunther Lutyens on it. He's built for secondaries. So my Scharnhorst secondaries reach 9.5 with flags.
Wow. Okay.
9.5 with flags at tier 7 rock and rolls, man. Its guns reload all the time. I don't care that they're 283s. They have great pen on the AP and they reload all the time. It's got torpedoes if you want to. I wish it had hydros, then it would be really dope. But I accept that it doesn't. I run spotter plane on it and then it can shoot really far if I need it to. And it handles like a dream. I love looking at it in the ocean. It is a beautiful ship. Say what you want about the horrible politics and the evil aspirations of the Germans, but they had guys that knew how to draw a pretty ship. I like Scharnhorst, and that's why it's my number 1 pick. And I will use it in ranked for fun because I am good in it.
And Scharnhorst is really balanced. The thing about it being kind of a battle cruiser is if your team needs a battleship, you can be a battleship against nearly every target. If your team needs a cruiser, you can be a cruiser against nearly every target, right? It's really good in that opportune place. I noticed you got your conceal down to 13.7. So I did something wrong or maybe read the wrong message there. Maybe it's better than I thought. I had it at 15 something. So that's good to see. I like that we both have this beautiful, stupid whale camo. So thank you for flexing.
I think the conceal will hit the 13.7 with the captain perk. I don't run that on Gunther Lutyens because I've got stuff loaded into secondaries, brawling, and fire prevention. But you can run it down to 13.2 with the captain perk if you're using more of a traditional captain on it. And that's fine too. You can run it without like going ham on the secondaries. When I'm playing a German battleship, damn it, I'm going ham on the secondaries. I don't care if they nerf the accuracy; they still work.
They do.
We played a game last Tuesday on stream. I took the Scharnhorst out, knocked out 120k. Fighting 3 or 4 battleships at the same time.
Up-tiered battleships. You fought better.
Up-tiered battleships, and GMAC makes a great point. The 283s don't overpen nearly as much. So if you catch out, like in that match, I caught out it was a Furitaka was broadside to me, salvoed into him, dev struck him from like 30,000. He had 30k hit points and he was dead, right? And it was just Citadel City because those 283s just don't overpen like the 406s do. You're going to get overpens with the cruiser when you're shooting cruisers with the 406s. Those I'm taking that armament because I want to be able to fight other battleships competently. Just with these 283s, I just don't aim at the waterline on other battleships. I aim at the upper belt like I'm in a heavy cruiser and do work. It's just a great ship.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up GMAC's comment. I was going to say something about that too, but I totally agree. GMAC's got it. He's hitting it right on the money, right? More of these shots are going to be pens on those lighter armored targets, right? If you're shooting a Graf Spee, if you're shooting an Algerie, if you're shooting a Belfast in smoke, you're going to get regular pens instead of overpens, and that's just more damage for you. So solid pick. Scharnhorst is fantastic. So I'm glad it made both of our lists. 9.5k secondaries, that's fantastic. I'm super glad that is achievable. And like you said, I don't care if they nerfed it a little bit. Secondaries are stupid fun. This is a video game. Let's get out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
And if you're
a ton of fun,
if you're still getting 6-figure damage, then you're doing it right. You're doing something fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Ton of fun. They 9.5 kilometer range on them. They're going to miss a lot at 9.5 just because of the nerf to them. But running Lutyens, once you get 100 secondary hits, he adds that extra 10% to reload. And man, they really hum then. They just shoot everywhere. So if you get to that point, it's like you're driving a fire ship through a parade in New York Harbor, right? Except it's just gunfire flying everywhere. It's just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go to this next slide, and then I'm going to make fun of myself slightly for picking it. I'm reminded of a quote from Mean Girls, which is, "Stop trying to make Duke of York happen. It's not going to happen." I want Duke of York to be good. I have taken it out 2 or 3 times on stream, and every battle I've had since I started streaming it has been terrible. But I used to get 6-figure damage in this boat all the time. I'm going to chalk that up to bad luck. I think this is kind of a weird pick. In fact, I even noted it there on the bottom of the screen. It's a weird pick. I don't think this is an overpowered pick, but I think it's interesting. And the reason I think it's interesting is the acoustics module on it. In ranked, you often need to operate alone, and it's not like a clan battle. Sometimes in ranked, you're going to have a team that's going to coordinate and cooperate and talk and make a plan and execute it. Often in ranked, you are going to have a plan for about 30 seconds, and then it's going to go to crap, and you're going to need to be able to operate alone. And I think if you're in a Duke of York with the acoustics module, you can defend yourself against destroyers, at least to a certain degree. With the AA rating of 66, it's not super high, but you're going to be fighting tier 6 airplanes. That means you're going to be able to shove off those airplanes that are going to come hassle you. And with the HE of those 356s, that has 89 millimeter HE pen. The reason I put that HE pen on there is 89 mil with these 356s, 71 mil with the 283s, and 68 mil with this with the Sinop and its 406s. That comes down to shell weights and all the other crap in the math that's behind the scenes that I don't know a ton about. But the fact that you can pen 89 millimeter with the Duke of York means that rock hard targets like the Sinop and these other mountains that sail the sea can be penned and burned with the HE on the Duke of York. Now, in that battle we played earlier tonight, I got like a 9,000 damage salvo on a Graf Spee. You're going to see stuff like that happening in ranked. Now, you're also going to see Nelson's doing it and maybe doing it better because of the 406s, right? We had the Nelson on the list as well, and I think it has a very well-deserved slot there. But I think Duke of York's acoustics at least makes it interesting. Maybe it shouldn't be number 1. Okay, I'll take that. But similar to what Skada said, I'm putting the Scharnhorst at number 1 because I think it's interesting. I'm putting the Duke of York at number 1 because I think think it's interesting right now as well. Also available for coal. I want to say it's like 100,000 coal, something like that. So it's not super expensive. I would understand if you're trying to save up for a Palmer and you wouldn't blow 100,000 coal on this. I get it. But if you already have all the boats up there that you want, or maybe you're looking for your first coal boat and you're not sure you're ever going to get to 300,000 coal, consider something like the Duke of York, the Lazo. I think those would be solid picks for you. Skada, what do you think of the Duke of York?
I like Duke of York, and I think I could easily say, if you have KJV, if you have King George V, the Tech Tree carbon copy, you can play it too. They're very similar. You don't have the hydros that Duke of York has, which make Duke of York special. It wasn't that long ago that I played through the British battleship line. I was successful in Duke of York and in Monarch and in Lion at doing big damage, 6-figure damage, lighting fires, being a harasser. The British battleships have amazing concealment. They just have stupid low concealment. So like if Deadeye wasn't going away, wow, they all benefit from that, right? Duke of York's got 356s, so again, smaller caliber. You may overpen less on cruisers if you use the AP, and you shouldn't shy away from using the AP against cruisers. Against battleships, I farm with the spam fire HE on it and just be a jerk. And the benefit of that in combined arms when you're fighting, if you have a cruiser on your team, is you could use one of these British ships, the Nelson or the Duke of York or KGV, to strip AA mounts off your enemy battleships, right? If you're blapping them with battleship HE, you're going to knock all their AA mounts off really quick, like the Thunderer does up at tier 10, right? And that's going to help your carrier if you have one. So no, I like Duke of York as a pick. I don't know if it would make my top 3. You'll recall when I played through these, at least in randoms, I could do 6-figure damage in KGV, Monarch, whatever. And I'd lose. My win rate in these boats, my account win rate in these boats took such a nasty hit where I would be top guy on a team with big damage numbers, but I could not carry a win with these ships. And so that would be my only concern, is that I couldn't get it done. But like tier, I think they're really strong.
Yeah, I concur with that. A lot of these HE battleships are not team carriers. I think you're right about the like tier thing. I also think the acoustics might help you get a little closer, which might make your AP more effective. And things like that as well, right? So there's some opportunities there. I don't know if Duke of York's a meal ticket to victories. Let me be clear, but I think it's an interesting pick for ranked. Maybe you have it, but you don't have the Nelson, and you're not interested in blowing your free XP on that. That's fine. Another boat I really like here, and I'm particularly, for some reason, I'm good at, is the Hood. You guys have seen me play that on stream a lot. The Hood and I really get along. It has really good AA, but it loses the acoustics, right? So if you're seeing a lot of carriers out there, consider a Hood run. I guess we can jump down to the honorable mentions screen. I got a little cowboy hat on this one. So, there's a lot of choices, I think, that wind up being good honorable mentions. I would definitely, if I had another pick, throw Nelson in the mix. Probably should have thrown Nelson in ahead of Duke of York, but I suspected you were going to pick Nelson even before you sent me your slides earlier today, and I wanted to make sure that Duke of York made the cut there. I looked at Ashitaka a little bit. Maybe you like IJN battleships. Maybe you want to use your captain from up at a higher tier on that premium tier 7 battleship. It's not too inaccurate. I think it has 4 10s. Let me see. Yeah, 4 10s. So it's similar gun armament to what you'd see on the Sinop. Pretty decent machine. I think the Ashitaka could be okay. I don't think it's particularly special in any way. It has damage control party and hull repair, so there's no special trick. There's nothing that makes it fantastic. That's why it didn't make my cut overall. A tech tree honorable mention I wanted to throw out, and people will disagree with this perhaps, is the Lion. Now the Lion has 340s. They're actually pretty small, but the idea.
You mean the Leon?
Leon, yes, Leon, the French one. French tier 7 battleship, tech tree. It's got 16 guns, 4 4-barrel turrets, and it fires off those 340s. And I have had really good luck with the Leon, slapping cruisers and even other battleships from ridiculous range with 16 shells. It's just talk about a wall of skill for torpedoes. This is the main gun version of that. What do you think about for honorable mentions tier 7 battleships or 6s?
I love battleships. Before I started playing destroyers this year, I consider myself a battleship main. When we play clan battles, I tend to play battleships. So I love playing battleship. and I have a lot of battleships. So tier 7 honorable mentions, premiums. I love the Florida. It would have made my list if its reload hadn't been nerfed. I hate the reload speed on it. It drives me batshit. But I really like playing the Florida because it's a fast American battleship at tier 7, which didn't exist before. It's got a ton of guns. It's got like these 3 turrets that all have 4 barrels, which is just silly looking. They're smaller caliber, but it shoots really far and they're super accurate. HE's not bad on it either if you have to use HE against up armored targets, but the AP on it slaps. You crush cruisers with that AP. And it's fast. It moves around at like 30 knots and you can reposition. Downsides, it has like 25 millimeter plate on the bow, so it can you can't bow tank in it. It's more like, it's really like a tier 7 super cruiser in a battleship skin. It does have sick AA though. Like if you're worried about AA and you want to have a battleship with strong AA, it has really good AA. I like California. It's a slow premium U.S. American dreadnought that came out. It has the same guns as Florida. It has a ton of them. It also has like 12 barrels, but it's on 4 turrets. I don't know why I like California. Again, it has good AA, but I've had good matches in it in randoms when I've played it. Done good damage in it. Another tech tree ship. My account win rate in Lyon is 89%, so I don't think I have a problem with your pick of Lyon. That boat was strong for me.
Yeah,
I think I love the French.
Me too. Sorry,
I love the French battleships, but for me, the hot sex of French battleships doesn't start till tier 8. But I don't dislike Lyon. I think you do fine in Colorado because the guns are really good. I think you do fine it if you want to take West Virginia 1941 at tier 6 because it's a Colorado at tier 6. It just has crap AA. As far as IJN goes, I'm like the worst guy to ask. I do not like the IJN battleships. I haven't found one that I enjoyed playing yet. I wouldn't take Ashitaka. I wouldn't take Nagato. Matsu's great. Like Matsu's got those big guns at tier 6 and it has those silly torpedoes. The problem that Matsu has is it has World War I shells and not World War II shells, so they don't pin as much as you'd think they would for 410s. I think the Hyuga that came out like 3 weeks ago, at tier 7, it's a tier 7 Fuso with a French reload booster on a battleship. I think it'll be popular because I think it slaps. I think if you're an IJN guy and you want to play like your Yamato or your Shikishima captain down at tier 7 and you have a Hyuga, I think that's probably the ship we'll see if you're going to take. I don't think you'll see Ashitaka. Nobody likes Ashitaka.
Ashitaka it's super vanilla. It's not very exciting.
Yeah, it has crap armor too. Like every time I take Ashitaka out, I get punished in it by big gun stuffs. Yeah. Like Poltava, nobody's gonna take Poltava.
No, I don't think so.
I like Prince Otto Frederick. If I didn't have the Scharnhorst, I would use Prince Otto Frederick because I think it plays well and it actually has pretty good AA for a 6.
Yeah, I was gonna. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to throw out a few 6s too. If I got stuck in a 6, Prince Idle Frederick, definitely. Arizona is still good, right? Arizona is a good boat at tier 6. Mutsu, like you did point out the World War I shells, which it definitely has. But Mutsu is still bringing 410s to the table. And against, again, a lot of what you're going to fight are cruisers. I mean, you're going to get into that one match where it's 4 battleships or whatever and 3 destroyers or something, as long as matchmaking allows that. But you're going to see cruisers out there too. And Mutsu will do just fine against 6 and 7 cruisers. But yeah, I was going to mention Prince Idle Frederick as well if you didn't, and I'm glad you got us there because it's just a really good, serviceable boat. It gets the job done. It's maneuverable. Its guns seem to do work even up 1 tier, which is the situation I think you're going to find it in ranked. Drevix mentioned Colorado. Colorado, I might get burned for this, but kind of like Ashitaka, is just kind of a normal battleship, right? It's got your hull repair, it's got good guns, and it's got damage control party. It's nothing's flashy, but I think it's pretty serviceable. And the biggest challenge it's going to have is it's a little slow. But if you're decent with U.S. battleships, you know where to put it at the beginning of the match. You only have to drive it once if you get it right the first time. So keep your eye on where your team's going. Drive slow at the beginning of the match. That's good advice probably for any battleship, but I think Colorado could be a solid pick. For sure. For French battleships, I'd even throw the Normandy into the mix. It's like a Lion, but with a couple fewer guns, right? But I don't know that I'd choose Normandy over the other boats that we've mentioned at tier 6.
Yeah, the French are rough in those lower tiers. Like I wouldn't want to take out Dunkirk and I wouldn't want to take out Strasbourg. And I say Dunkirk on purpose as Dunkirk. But Strasbourg is like a big letdown because it's just a tier 7 Dunkirk. There's like very little that's fun about it. I just wouldn't use either of those if based on what's in my port. But I think you made a comment there about how, well, you're not going to see these matches with a ton of battleships and a ton of destroyers, and you're going to see cruisers too. You know, if it's been anything like ranked has been the last round, you're not. I don't know how often I went into ranked where I would load in a cruiser. I used Kronstadt a lot in the last bronze round because I was getting comfortable with cruisers again. Not that Kronstadt's not cheating at that, but man, there's a lot of times when I'd load in and I was the only cruiser, right? It would be all battleships and destroyers and one cruiser, or there might be a CV, there might not. I think the queue is going to be heavy with battleships again. I think if you have cruisers and you want to play them and you're leveling them, it's a great opportunity because you will never wait in the queue. You're going to load in immediately.
Yeah, that is a good point. And we do see those battles. I do say, like I say, you're going to see them, but I don't think you're going to have trouble finding targets you can pen was really the message I was trying to make. But I think you're not wrong. You will see battleships being very popular in ranked. And that's where I say, it seems like we need to throw some destroyers in here to deal with these guys. So I'll go switch it up and load in a destroyer. Here's the hood with battle damage camo. I'm just kind of showcasing a couple of these guys on the side. I think that's probably about all I have to say about battleships. Oh, Warspite is maybe another good pick if you have to play a 6, if you want to play a 6, but you don't have something else. Warspite's a pretty tough old bird. Not bad. So I think there's a lot of choices in the battlefield or battleship realm is really the takeaway here.
Yeah, and if you don't have battleships and you don't have like a Tech Tree 6, do a little research and like go get a Tech Tree, like spend half an hour at this point because this game is so comically fast to level now. Start a battleship line and get to a Tech Tree 6 and then farm to the 6 to the 7 in ranked.
Yeah, actually, that is a true thing. Yeah, you can get there. And like you say, ranked, we've talked about it a few times in this segment. It's a super great place to level and push a ship up. Try to go in there with some modules, maybe spend a little free XP to get your modules up, but you can burn through the back half, the rest of the ship upgrade in ranked pretty quickly. And the only reason I say bring in modules, please, is because what if I'm on your team? I don't want you to be in there with an unupgraded ship. So please, be respectful to your teammates, but it's a great place to get that XP.
I can't believe how much in the last round of ranked you'd go in and you'd see guys without in rusty ships with no camo.
Yeah,
dude, just bringing in. I'm just leveling this, and normally I play co-op, but you're like, okay, well, like don't suck, right? Do your best.
Yeah, Drevix has a comment here in chat, which I'm responding to, and now I'm going to respond to it verbally as well. He says, I think skilled cruisers know how to farm battleships, and I'm saying, that's what Lazo is for. However, one challenge that you'll have is I had a lot of battles in the Lazo last time we did Tier 7 ranked where I had 6-figure damage and we lost and I saved my star. Right? So that is one of the reasons why people will switch. They'll take battleships, they'll take destroyers because they feel like those ships can affect the battle better. And even though I had, 140,000 damage in the Lazo, I burned down 2 battleships and killed 2 destroyers. It didn't matter, and so I think as players get higher in skill, Drevix had a comment earlier that says, I noticed higher you went in ranks, you see more cruisers. I think that's true. You get higher skill players that know how to use those ships. They're taking things they're comfortable in, boats that they know how to really, really work. You will see people taking things where they know their skill is good after a little bit, after the season runs for a little while. Skada, do you want to talk about your last pick? Let's do it.
Oh, for aircraft carrier. Yeah. I assume you didn't make a carrier slide.
I didn't pick a carrier. I will tell you, my pick would be Ryujo, and the reason is it's the one I have all of the stuff unlocked for, and it's ready to go. And I'm pretty consistent with Ryujo, but I don't know if it's worse or better than the Ranger. I like my Ranger too. I don't have a Loewenhardt to speak to, so I figured I'd let you talk about this special boy.
Yeah, Tier 6, there's 6 aircraft carriers. 4 Tech Tree carriers and Ryujo, Ranger, Wesser, and Furious. 2 premiums, Eric Loewenhardt and Eric Royal. Eric Loewenhardt's being removed from the game in 10.5. It hasn't been in the game that long. It was introduced with the German Tech Tree line. What's that tell you, Clyde? When a premium gets added to the game and gets removed within a year, what's that tell you?
Yeah, that's usually because that boat is having too big of an effect on the game. It's too good.
Yeah, they don't leave in premiums that they don't pull premiums early that are bad. Otherwise, Graf Zeppelin wouldn't be in the game, right? So Eric Loewenhardt is overpowered. If you have one, and you want to go abuse people in a carrier that's a premium, like to train up your captain for Richthofen, maybe, or just to train up a captain that you use on another line, like. It's a premium, so you could. Well, I've got this Z52 captain, or I've got this Hindenburg captain, but he could use some more XP. I'm going to go farm XP with the Loewenhardt. Why is the Loewenhardt overpowered? My guess, right? So, Loewenhardt's attack aircraft, it has AP rockets, so it murder rates cruisers. The attack aircraft are stupid fast. They're Messerschmitt BF-109s, which obviously were never designed to be launched from a carrier. But they go fast. Their cruising speed's like 153, right? So they move around really fast at tier 3 or at tier 6. And then it's bombers. It's bombers and its torpedo planes are actually Stukas, which again is like stupid. If you know anything about aviation history and the Luftwaffe. But the cool thing about it that the Weser doesn't have is it has HE bombers. The Weser, the tech tree ship, has AP bombers, right? And the German AP bombers are great. But the nice thing about Loewenhardt is that you can go in with the AP bombers and you can crush cruisers. It has the wacky, high-speed, low-damage German torpedoes that are from the tech tree that are supposed to be used against like destroyers. And then it has HE bombers, right? So you can, while you can expect to get AP bomb hits on capital ships with the Weser, I like the fact that you can go in and farm fire damage with this cruiser or with this carrier in the German line, and you can't do that with anything else the Germans have that you can use, right? They just don't. There's no way to start fires with them, right? So you kind of can do everything, and I think it's pretty strong because of that. It's just kind of silly that it's getting pulled already, and whenever I see something like that, I'm like, well, they're not pulling it because nobody bought it. It's just as far as the tech tree boats go, I like, and again, as I've been joking on stream as I started playing carriers not long ago, I'm a tier 4 carrier main. I've been trying to play tier 6 carriers. Every time I take out the Ranger on stream, we're bottom tier, and my planes literally get evaporated by tier 8s, like North Carolinas and stuff. I like Ranger better than Ryujo so far. I like Weser probably better than Furious, but I really don't like the German high altitude bomber reticle. I struggle with it. Just I'm not very good with it yet. Furious is frustrating to me. I don't like the British carriers that much. I do like the Ark Royal, the other premium tier 6 carrier. Ark Royal has these like stupid slow torpedo planes because they're like biplanes. But the torpedoes hit relatively hard, and Ark Royal does the carpet bomb HE thing that really sucks when you have it done to you as a destroyer. Like, we both hate it.
Yeah.
Its rocket planes are pretty strong too. But again, I mean, like, I've been pushing a lot of premiums. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody unless you're just like hard over for CVs. If you're just like, man, I love me some CVs. If you love you some CVs, Eric Loewenhardt, Ark Royal are both really good choices. If you want to level, like I've been trying to level carriers and trying to get better at carriers because I'm almost out of destroyers. So I probably will play some Ranger and some Weser and some Furious and some Ryujo in ranked and make somebody unhappy because I'm not that good at it. But it's probably something I'll do.
I had a couple of thoughts while you were running through the list there. First thought I had, well, not the first, but the first one I'll mention is, oh yeah, I have an Ark Royal. I got it out of a Christmas box or something. I forgot that I had that boat. So you're right, though. Those carpet bombs that the British carriers have really suck. If you've ever been driving along in your destroyer, just quietly trying to accomplish the mission, and all of a sudden the entire world turned to fire, that was what happened to you. A British carrier dropped carpet bomb HE all over you, which really sucks. But if you're in the carrier, that's a really great thing that you can do, especially if it's to something like a Gallant with its 2 AA rating, right? The other thing that I was kind of thinking about is you talked about the speed of the Loewenhardt's airplanes. And the other thing to kind of dovetail with that is the maps that we're going to see in ranked are going to be slightly scaled down versions of what we see in like clan battles typically, right? So the distances between carrier and target is low, which means they're going to be able to switch planes and launch and fly over there and be attacking you very, very frequently throughout the game. It should also mean that those carriers are vulnerable, that we can get close to them and attack them. So that's going to be something you're going to be wanting to watch out for. If there's an opportunity to take out a carrier, that'll be beneficial to your team. But what you don't want to do is wind up in a situation where you're a destroyer and you got that carrier fever, and the only target you can see is the carrier. You're going to go chase them, because that's a great way to lose ranked battles. And people will tell you in chat, and they won't be nice because they're not your mother. So we need to make sure as we're thinking about this and getting attacked by these guys, you got to think about the victory and everything. Ranked, as we know, it's all about the W. It's not about how many kills I got, how much damage I did. Those things only come up when you lose, because when you're losing, you got to go, well, I got 140,000 damage, so it wasn't me. It doesn't matter. We lost. Thanks, pal. I appreciate you playing, but you got to, you needed to do more, right? Those numbers don't matter. So yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm expecting a lot of carrier activity. I think they're going to be able to threaten frequently and often. And so that's something we're going to want to watch for in that because of the small size of those maps and those fast airplanes. But even carriers with slower planes are going to be all over you. So bear that in mind. I've just finished recently upgrading the rest of my Ranger. Sometime in the last few months. So I have all of the upgrades for it now, and I haven't had as many matches in it as the Ryujo. I am not a good aircraft carrier captain. I was on the Ryujo and the Ranger back when they switched from RTS to the new mode. So that tells you how much I play carriers. I do play them a little bit more now than before, but it's not frequently. And anybody who's been on the stream a number of times knows that. I'm not anti-carrier. But it doesn't mean that I'm not sometimes disgruntled when I get carpet bombed or something. So, but yeah, absolutely. I think getting some carrier skill is valuable. It's good for you to know what those guys are going to do when they're trying to attack you. So be thinking about carrier things, even if you're not planning on taking carriers into ranked. I guess that's it, I think, from me. Any final thoughts from Skada? Anything else you want to share before we break up this little party? This went for a long time, but I think it was an interesting discussion.
I'm really excited for this version of Rank Sprint. This series is going to start tomorrow, and it's going to run to like the beginning of August. It'll be, something we're doing for a while. So I don't think I'm going to hang out in bronze like I have. I in the last sprint, I just hung out in bronze and was happy to go do bronze over and over again and get some steel and play 8s and 9s. I will probably push through bronze after a couple of series and then hang out in silver where there's 8s and 9s again, because I like that gameplay, I think. But I am excited that it's 6s and 7s. I do think we're going to see CVs. I don't know what to expect there. Early on, it'll probably be like last round in bronze, where the CVs are good early and they move up. And the good ones move up, right?
Yeah.
And then you run out of good ones. And then like in the back half of bronze last time around, even at 8s and 9s, right? You'd load in if you had CVs. They weren't competent players in CV. They were just dudes who queued in a CV, because the CV queue was really quick too. It was always just the battleship queue that was long. I'm curious. I don't know that I'll play CV much in it. If I do hang out in bronze, it'll be because I'm just leveling Ranger and Ryujo and Wesser and Furious and being a jerk. But I'm excited for it. It's a great way to earn steel. It's a fun game mode. I'm glad that they've made ranked. I've heard a lot of streamers say that they don't like that ranked is kind of being like random now. Like one of the big brouhahas was they announced that when they put submarines in game that they're going to be in ranked, like in a season of ranked before they're in randoms. That's because I think more people are playing ranked more frequently because it's more fun right now, and it's a great way to earn steel. And I want to earn steel. I'm really close. We joke about it, but the coupon's going to come out in June. And all things considered, based on ranked and hopefully some good fortune in clan battles for us, with a coupon, I'll be buying another steel ship. And I bought my first steel ship not long ago. Yeah, I bought the Borgonia last winter, like Christmas time or a little before, and I'm already up to 20,000 steel again, and that's from clan battles and ranked. And it's been great. So I'm looking forward to buying another steel ship. And I'm going to do everything in my power not to have that be the FDR. But man, I'm really thinking about buying the FDR because it's such a joke. It's so fake.
It is so fake. Yes.
I should buy something that like I want to play, but I kind of want to just get the FDR because it's just such a joke.
Because hopefully they remove it from the game, and then you can set it up on a shelf and just be like, "There's my trophy. You can't get that."
Yeah,
anymore."
I want to park it in my port next to the Enterprise
Yeah.
and go, "Hey,
there's another boat.
American power, America."
No, that's fantastic. I think I haven't played a lot of ranked lately. I usually play a few matches every season. I always really like Tier 7 ranked for some reason. You're playing against the same jokers. They've just come down and they're playing at Tier 7. And I just really think it's a fun tier. So I'm expecting that I'm going to play a little bit more ranked. I do a lot of my playing these days on stream. I don't play a ton solo. Skada and I get together. We run through randoms. But we may do a little bit of ranked streaming and stuff like that as well. Doing sync drops and fooling around that way. I think we'll have some opportunity to see some ranked on stream. I think we'll be definitely talking about ranked on stream. So if you want to, come and hang out with us, we like to do this kind of stuff. Neither one of us is a Unicum player. I think most of the folks who hang out in this channel are not Unicum players, or if you are, I'd like to get some information from you on how I can be better at ships. I think it's a good place to hang out. We like to talk strategy and talk about the ships, talk about their strengths and weaknesses, try to understand what it is that just happened in that last match so that I can prevent that, or so that I can reproduce that behavior in the next match if it was something I want to see happen again. So by all means, if you like this kind of content, hang out with us. We do a video series. You can hang out with us on YouTube as well. A lot of the matches on there have me and Skada in them. It's my channel, but he's riding sidecar with me a lot of the time, and so we've got a lot of action there. I try to put out a video every Friday, so we'll be looking for that this Friday as well. So that's something you can check out. Of course, I'm on Twitch here on Tuesday nights and on Saturday mornings, as well as on Twitter. You can check me out at Clyde Plays Games there. Tell me what you think of this list. If you've got a boat that we missed out on, tell us all about it. I want to engage with the crowd out there as well. And there's some really great folks that I follow and that follow me out there on Twitter. I only have like 105 followers, 106 followers, so I want to get that going a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a blast. I hope that people take something interesting away from this. Like you said, we're not amazing players. We just love the game and we love talking about the game. And I'm looking forward to doing another one of these streams in a couple weeks, where maybe we talk about silver and do 8s and 9s.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's on the docket. If you guys liked this, let me know. Hit me up at Twitter or something like that. Obviously, I think the folks that were chatting with us are interested. We had a lot of people breeze in and out of this while we had these slides up there. I think people thought this was weird looking when they saw it on the Twitch stream or screen, I should say, and they maybe clicked on it. Hopefully, we get some feedback from people about whether or not this kind of content is useful or valid. If it is, by all means, we'll do it again. This is what we do anyway. The question is, do we record it and share it with you guys, right? And so we're going to have these conversations one way or another. It can just be us hanging out in Discord, or it can be us streaming it and sharing it with you guys and getting feedback from y'all. So all right, guys, I think that's it. I want you to have a great night, and we'll catch you next time. Like I said, come see us on Saturday, and until then, sail with friends, take care of each other. We'll see you in the next battle, guys. Peace.